Up next, we have the intriguing technology session led by Sujith Vijayan from Hitachi Vantara. Mr. Vijayan boasts of rich experience and a demonstrated track record, establishing him as a prominent figure in the sphere of data center modernization, cloud, and industrial solutions. His profound expertise has played a pivotal role in catalyzing innovation and fostering a culture of excellence within the field. Today, Mr. Vijayan will be sharing valuable insights and knowledge in a technology session that promises to be both enlightening and transformative. Prepare to delve deep into the world of modernizing data centers, harnessing the power of the cloud, and exploring the cutting-edge solutions that are shaping industries today. So can you please give him a big round of applause and welcome him on stage. Meanwhile, can I please request you all to fill out the feedback forms and submit it outside. Also collect your token of appreciation at the end of the session.
So, good morning everybody. Very warm welcome to you for the technology session today. In the next, say around 30 to 40 minutes, combining the QA session, I'm going to talk about certain things in terms of what market analysts are saying in terms of the term called hybrid cloud. We had certain questions from the team in terms of cloud adoption, or where do we have these applications residing either on cloud, public cloud or private cloud. How is it? We're going to talk about that. Certain challenges with respect to adoption of public cloud or hybrid cloud for that matter. That's what we're going to see. Now, apart from that, we're going to see what Hitachi has to offer as a vision towards hybrid cloud. Apart from vision, we also going to see in terms of what are the solution portfolio what we have in terms of addressing these data challenges, what the panelists have spoken about, addressing certain concern in terms of data protection, data privacy. Those solutions with respect to that is what we're going to see. What we're going to see in the next, say, around 30 to 40 minutes. Of course, today's session, due to time constraints, it will be slightly on a high level, but you can pick me around or my colleagues from Hitachi in terms of understanding the solutions a little more better. Okay. So let me start with the analyst report, what we have seen in the past. So in around May time frame, we had an analyst who has done a research across 750 customers or users or decision makers who have already embarked on the cloud journey or who are already are thinking of embarking on the cloud journey. And the next slide talks about the results of those analysis. On the right hand side, let me move this side. On the right hand side, you have a ratio or a result with respect to cloud adoptions. Now, if you look at the result, around 24% of customers, they have their entire IT landscape on public cloud. Okay. Now, on to around 4% of customers have their IT landscape purely on-premise. That means they don't have any kind of presence in any cloud. So 24 on public cloud, which doesn't have any presence on-premise. Around 4% which is having presence only on-premise. But a whopping 72% of customers have their IT landscape spread across private and public cloud together, making the hybrid cloud approach. So people have taken a hybrid cloud approach, which is very, very prominent in running their IT landscape or data centers. Now, out of that 74 or rather 72 hybrid cloud users, there are around 87% of customers who are already on a hybrid cloud, but the landscape is so it is spread across multiple private clouds or multiple public clouds, basically making it as a multi-cloud environment, right? So cloud is innovative, it is there. People have adopted it for various reasons, ease of operations in terms of cost. Of course, there are certain cost challenges as well, what we have seen, but cloud is going to stay. Could be the form would be different. It could be a cloud which is on-premise, we call it as private cloud, or a hybrid cloud which is a combination of private and public, right? So once they have onboarded, we try and understand in terms of what are the challenges in terms of after you onboard the cloud journey. So the top 5 challenges what we have seen on the screen is one in terms of managing the cloud spread. Today customers have challenges in terms of managing the entire infrastructure which is cloud, on-premise or multi-cloud, in terms of management, in terms of managing cost, in terms of managing security. I think one of the panelists was speaking about security concerns while moving on to the public cloud or hybrid cloud in nature. One of the important other aspect as a challenge was in terms of the expertise what the enterprise has. Today, managing a plethora of services across multiple cloud, it is very, very challenging because first, we don't have the skill set or expertise to manage them individually. Not one guy can manage every cloud instance every cloud instance. So you need to have multiple expertise. So it has become a big challenge for enterprises to have these expertise with them, onboard them. The other important aspect is in terms of, somebody was talking about DPD, DEP, yeah, data protection and data governance for that matter, data privacy for that matter. Governance and compliance is one of the important concerns of customers who have already onboarded the journey of hybrid cloud. So we're going to see certain aspects of how do we solve these problems, what we have seen in as per the analysis, using certain solutions what we have to offer to our customers, and see what is the vision what Hitachi carries. Now from a vision standpoint, Hitachi's vision on hybrid cloud is with the aim to help customers onboard their cloud journey, at the same time make them successfully move or adopt the hybrid cloud journey for them with its innovative solutions, which is infrastructure solutions, software solutions and services, and at the same time help them meet their digital initiatives going forward with the adoption of hybrid cloud. Now these solutions could be around storage, which is the core storage platform. It could be solutions with respect to converged and hyper-converged solutions. Right? We have heard about converge and hyperconverge. Somebody was referring as HCI. HCI stands for hyperconverge. There is another aspect in terms of modernization, which is data center modernization or application modernization. So we have heard about containers. Have anybody heard about containers? I think most of them you would have heard about containers. How do you modernize your application by adopting of containers? What do we do? How do we help those customers? These are solutions around that. Solutions around edge. When I say edge, edge is where the data gets created. So the solutions of Hitachi portfolio spreads from the edge to the core to the cloud. Edge is where the data gets generated. Core is where the data is stored, enriched, activated and monetized. So the solutions across from edge to core to cloud is what we have. Now, I've been speaking about solutions, so let's try and understand what solution portfolio we have. To start with, we have the VSP portfolio. VSP stands for Virtual Storage Platform, which is basically serving your block, file and object storage requirements. Combined with data protection, modern data protection, which is a combination of storage and software, which we call it as HTPS, Hitachi Data Protection for Suite. Data protection suite for data protecting, using a modern way in terms of taking snapshot and then protecting that information or protecting that data for a longer period of time with some data retention utilities applied to those backup policies. Those are certain things in terms of data protection. Now on the right you have something called as HCP. HCP is one of our solutions which is addressing data type called object storage, right? So anybody who wants to have an object storage kind of environment created, or it's otherwise called as a cloud storage on premise. So we have the cloud storage options also available in our portfolio. Now that's from the storage standpoint. Now one is storage, second is in terms of the management suite or the orchestration layer, which is used to manage all the storage solutions across. We call it as Hitachi Ops Center. Ops Center has 4 main functions. One is in terms of managing the infrastructure, 2 in terms of analyzing what's happening across all the components, 3 in terms of automating certain mundane things which can be automated in an IT landscape. 4 is basically protecting the entire IT landscape. When I say entire storage landscape, when I say protecting, it is protecting from operational recovery, it is protecting from disaster recovery. You would have heard about 2DC or 3DC kind of a scenarios where you have to protect your data across disaster recoveries or disaster scenarios as well. So that's the one which takes care about protection. Combined with storage portfolio, we have the compute portfolio. We call it as DS and HA series of systems. These are typically Intel-based compute platform rack servers. Now, starting first month of next year, we would have our systems with AMD as well. So, AMD and Intel are 2 large microprocessor manufacturing entities, and we have partnered with both of them in terms of giving what customer needs in today's world, right? Now, when I say compute, so what kind of solutions do we deliver? We deliver converged and hyper-converged solutions. We help customers to modernize their application using these compute and storage solutions to build a container ecosystem with our partners around. At the same time, we have partnered with networking solutions like Cisco and Brocade for managing the networking, both from a FC network standpoint or an Ethernet network standpoint. So that's the kind of partnering we have in terms of delivering these initiatives of customer. Customers wants to build a hybrid cloud, a private cloud, or a mission critical environment for their applications, be it modern apps or be it traditional applications like Oracle or database or anything, or standard virtualization across multiple operating systems. Okay? Any questions till now? Great, we'll move forward. Now, we heard about in the panel discussions or the discussions prior to that, we heard about modernizing our storage or modernizing our data center. Now, when it comes to storage, can somebody let me know what are the key things what you look out from a storage? What are the key criteria of selecting a storage? Availability, thank you. Sorry? Power? Scalability, good.
Optimization.
Sorry?
Optimization.
Yeah, optimization, that's fine, yes. Performance, important one. Okay? So, security, encryption, there are many, but these are certain key which we have just spoken in the beginning. Now, you guys have helped me to build my slide, right? These are the ones what you've just spoken. Performance, scalability, availability, sustainability, efficiency. Did I miss anything? Okay. Price. I would say best price. Price to what you buy, right? Thanks. Okay. So, having all these basic needs or rather the outcomes which is mandatorily required by our customers. So, we have our VSP family. VSP stands for Virtual Storage Family, which is basically a storage platform which can give you block-based access for your application, which can give you all the feature functionalities what we just spoke, apart from certain more functionalities in terms of these. Now, these, let me read out few of them. One of the important aspect is storage virtualization. Somebody touched upon this topic called storage virtualization, where we can manage third-party arrays using our controllers, wherein you virtualize the external storage behind Hitachi controller and reap the benefits of feature functionalities what is available in our platform. That's storage virtualization. Second is in terms, somebody was talking about performance. So we have a storage platform which can range, the performance can range as low as say around 30,000 IOPS, way up to 33 million IOPS. And that platform, what we call it as VSP 5600 platform, which is world's #1 in terms of storage subsystems, which can perform you or give you a performance up to 33 million IOPS. One is IOPS, that's fine. Somebody was also talking about responses, right? The response time given by these systems is around 44 microseconds, right? So that's the beauty of these platforms in terms of performance. In terms of availability, these are platforms which can support your data protection concepts like snapshot. We call it as thin image. Thin image is our term in terms of the snapshotting mechanism. We also support cloning. We support 2 data center replication, 3 data center replication, also 4 data center replication. So there are customers who would want the entire data to be replicated across 4 different data centers, right? So there are certain needs. So all these storage platforms support 2DC, 3DC, or a 4DC kind of a requirement. Now, when I say all, not all might need it, but there are certain people who would need it. We have the solution for that. Now, somebody was talking about efficiency. So these storage subsystems are efficient enough that we don't even ask our customers in terms of what is the data type you're trying to put it on this platform. We give a 2:1 uptime, the upfront guarantee in terms of sizing your infrastructure. So assume that you got a requirement of 100 terabyte. We push in 50 terabyte and give you a guarantee written as a contract saying that we would support you up to 100 terabyte with the platform, but we will be giving only 50 terabyte to you. That's the kind of guarantee what we offer to you. That's 2:1 and QA. Cyber resiliency, I think that was the hot topic today in the discussions what we had. We have cyber resiliency or ransomware attack, right? So we have solutions around the ransomware attack where we use snapshot as a mechanism to take a consistent backup of your data. At the same time, use disk retention utility as a function called DRU to retain that last known good configuration for X number of times, X number of days. Now, assume that you are hit with a ransomware. It is very, very easy to go back in time, restore the file, or rather restore the snapshot and bring up your applications or bring up your data which is intact. So that's the kind of cyber resiliency solutions what we've got. Now, yeah, I think that's more or less in terms of the storage solutions what we have. Now, one of the important aspect was somebody was talking about scalability, right? So what we have done is we have built a solution, we call it as VSSO, which is virtual storage scale out. So the architecture is so built that you can combine more than say around 100 controllers of VSP, which is VSP controllers, as a single cluster. So the benefit of having more than so many controllers, or rather each system is a 2-node cluster. So you will have a cluster of multiple 2-node clusters up to 130 controllers to be practical. We can create cluster across all and then offer that as one single storage platform to your applications. The benefit is that you can have your multiple environments run on multiple storage subsystems as you see. It's a mix of storage models, E590, 790 and 1090, basically supporting a cluster of different solutions or different storage models. At the same time giving a flexibility to move your workload as and when required. So out of say for example the 4 systems what you see on the screen, some of them are having some of them are hybrid in nature. When I say hybrid in nature, you have all NVMe storage subsystem, at the same time the SAS backend storage for capacity requirements. So if you want to have certain workload which is today running on SAS, you want to move it on to NVMe kind of a storage subsystem or the storage layer, you can move or tier the data, application data seamlessly within the hybrid system across SAS and NVMe or across the storage subsystem as well. And believe me, this is done seamlessly. That means application owners would not even know that the application is getting moved from one storage layer to other. It is so seamless that the application is not even known, but at the same time application gets the required SLA what is there, right. That is the innovation what we have come up with. So, around 130 storage controllers is something what we can cluster up. Now, that was from a block storage standpoint. So, another enhancement is basically creating a software defined storage. Okay. Software defined storage using compute nodes and internal storages within the compute node. So, we termed it as VSSB, virtual storage for block. Now, there is an architecture in terms of number of how many number of compute you need. Certain nodes are termed as control plane, certain nodes are termed as data plane. So, you would have an architecture which is built to create a cluster basically for two use cases. One, bare metal. Two is virtualized environment. Now, what we have done is we have further extended the technology so that we can move this entire VSSB as a solution into any of the public cloud, offering data center extension. When I say data center extension, initially VSSB was designed for on-premise solution as an on-premise solution. At the same time, we have built it or enhanced it to move it to a public cloud like an AWS. For now it is AWS. We will have soon release them across multiple hypervisors like Google or Azure for that matter. For now it is AWS. We can have this installed and placed or consumed as a storage layer in AWS today. So, when it moves on to storage AWS, we call it as VSSC, which is basically virtual storage software for cloud, right. Now, these storage can be consumed for either FC connectivity or as an iSCSI storage as well. Any questions on this till now? Okay. Now, that is one of the other developments. The another development is in terms of Cloud Connect. When I say Cloud Connect, there are certain customers who would have only one data center, right, on premise, one single data center, but they would want to have a DR solution set up in any of the cloud service providers, right. So, you have a data center today, we have VSP in the data center. You can replicate your data from that on-premise private cloud to a CSP which is nearby you of your choice. You can have that CSP built, and we have the VSP which is installed in the CSP location. At the same time, tomorrow if you want to have a copy of your data on any of the public cloud of your choice, the same can be moved using VSSB as a platform, which is a cloud storage available from Hitachi in AWS. So, you can have the replication done from on-premise to CSP to public cloud as well. Okay. Now, we spoke about all the hardware pieces which is basically physical in nature. Now, one of the important aspect is the Ops Center. Ops Center is basically the management tool or the orchestration layer to manage all these storage solutions what we have. As I said, it is a combination of 4 systems. It is basically a software which keeps track of what is happening across each and every element in the data center. When I say each and every element, be it the compute, be it the storage, be it the switches, each and every aspect of the IT topology or the infrastructure topology is being managed or looked into this software called Ops Center. So, what it brings is basically an insight into what is happening in your data center. Now, today a question to you. Today if you have a performance problem, how many support tickets do you raise? Anybody? How many support tickets do you raise if you have an application performance problem? One? Only one? Two? Only two? More than that? Three? Four? Right, all the vendors, that is a good one. All the vendors. Why do you think we raise so many support tickets? Anybody? Sir, may I ask? Why do you think we log so many support tickets?
Because it's a performance issue is not fixed with only one layer. It's end to end, all the layers we have to be analyzed.
All the layers.
Yeah, like
Okay.
application, database, after that.
Very true.
storage, server.
Now, if I give you a handle which says you might have a performance problem at this location, would that be helpful?
Yeah.
If you get an insight in terms of you might have a performance problem, can you look into this?
Yeah, then
That will be helpful. This Op Center does the same thing for you, right? When Op Center has an information about what's happening across each and every layer in your data center, the AI algorithm which is running inside the software is able to predict what's happening in your system. It is able to predict what is the bottleneck in your IT infrastructure, right? It gives you an end-to-end view of how an application is working in your environment. The application from the left, right? So it basically gives you an end-to-end view which talks about what is the application, which is the host, how is it connected to the storage landscape, what are the networking elements which is processing, what is the disk or the storage array which is connected to, within the storage array, how is the entire storage array behaving from a cache standpoint or a RAID group standpoint or a processor standpoint. Every information this guy captures, and it can give you information in terms of where your problem is. I am not saying that this is going to solve your problem, no. At least it will help you to get to the root cause much easier, right? It will tell you where could be a possibility to look into to solve the problem, right? So that's the kind of functionality the software gives you. As I said, it is AI enabled. It keeps track of what is happening at every element level in the data center and gives you that function of an end-to-end view or predict. Of course, predictive. Now, how many of you have seen challenges in terms of my capacity going full? Right, you would have seen it, right? So the application can consume storage and the storage capacity goes full, and then you start to find ways and means to clear the storage, right? So that is happening because we don't know what's happening in your storage. Somebody is consuming capacity randomly, and then you once in one fine morning you say, okay, I am running out of my storage. This is the guy who keeps a track of what's happening and notifies you that there are certain things you have to take care of from a capacity planning standpoint. You can probably make those investments in terms of procuring additional capacity for your applications. This is the guy who does it for you. Okay? Now that's from a storage landscape. Now we spoke about compute landscape as well. We call the compute solutions as UCP. UCP stands for Unified Compute Platform. Unified Compute Platform. So the Unified Compute Platform solutions are divided into three. One is converged infrastructure, traditional CI, we call it, otherwise called as converged infra. Second one is hyper-converged infra, which is the UCP HC. Third one is UCP RS. RS stands for rack scale. Now, on the top you see certain things which is written here in terms of this, okay, flexible on the right hand side. It is flexible. When I say flexible in nature, which is converged infra, it's a combination of storage, compute, networking gears with independent scalability. That is flexible. That means if there is a need for me to upgrade my storage landscape, or if there is a need for me to augment more compute or networking requirement, I can do it independently. Right? That's the flexibility which the converged infra offers for our customers. In the middle you have got something called simple. Customers want to have a simple architecture wherein you have the compute, storage, networking, everything put together in one single stack, which is a compute node. We have the hyper-converged solutions as well. That's where we partner with VMware in adopting the software-defined storage called vSAN. On the third, you have Agile. Agile is nothing but a private cloud kind of a deployment, which we call it as UCP RS for certain workloads. Basically, private cloud setup for our customers is UCP RS. So these are the three differentiation or rather three pillars of unified compute platform offerings. Now, all is good. How do you manage that? Right? How do you manage the compute landscape? We have a software called UCP Advisor, which manages these compute solutions for us. Right? This is the same piece of software which manages your UCP CI, your HC and RS for you. So it manages your server, networking and your storage as well. So all your provisioning activities with respect to storage provisioning or deletion or increasing your volume, everything can be handled by UCP Advisor. Right? Now, why do we have three such things when it is all compute? Based on your requirement, when you bring up your requirement that I need certain processing power and certain storage capacity, looking at the kind of workload what you're going to host on the system, we advise the right set of solution for customers. It could be in certain cases it could be a CI, in certain cases it could be a HC, or in certain cases it could be a UCP RS. CI is typically where you have bare metal solutions, right? Bare metal, so non-virtualized bare metal solutions like Oracle, like SAP HANA, right? These are solutions which is typically bare metal. Of course, these can be used for virtualization solutions like VMware, vSphere or Oracle, Linux or anything like that. You can use it. But the other one is basically HC. HC is basically simple deployments, you can have HC. But if you want to build a private cloud, we don't recommend you to have HC or CI. We recommend to have RS, basically building a private cloud for you with all the computing gears and the required software for that. How do we do that? Is basically try and understand where are you in your journey of adopting cloud, right? So cloud journey is not simple. It is basically a phased manner. Phased manner in terms of first virtualizing your compute landscape, right? In the data center, you've got three important components. One is compute, the other one is storage, and the third one, anybody? Third one to guess? Network. Thank you so much. So network. So first and foremost, we start by virtualizing your server platform. We use vSphere, which is basically a converged infrastructure solution where you have the compute and the storage coming in together along with the networking gears. Now, you would have already done, some of them you would have already done your consolidation with respect to compute. What's the next one is basically storage. If you want to consolidate multiple storages into one, either you can go on a CI architecture or you can go on hyperconverged architecture by having software defined storage implemented in your data center and consolidate all your applications in a software defined in a HCI way. We have UCP for HC. Now, the third component, as somebody said, it is the networking. So if you can virtualize your networking environment by using a software called NSX from VMware, along with it have the management portion, which is the vRealize, which is renamed as ARIA suite of products from VMware very recently. vRealize is the ARIA suite is basically a new name for vRealize. So you got the VCF platform from VMware, the NSX, the software defined storage, or the converged infrastructure from Hitachi. It's a combination which will help you to build a private cloud, right? Private cloud, both from a compute standpoint and from management standpoint, this is the solution. Now, this is just a private cloud, but is it fully a cloud? What is missing? What is missing? Somebody was asking for price, do that. Okay. Price. Basically, from a cloud consumption standpoint, cloud was very lucrative. Why? Because you need to pay as you use, right? Pay as you grow or pay as you use. So we have the solution offer, or rather the offer called Everflex, which is basically a consumption model to consume this entire IT landscape or infrastructure landscape. That means if you get in an agreement with Hitachi on Everflex, the entire assets will be on Hitachi's book, and you can consume the services as a pay-per-use model. You consume only what, you pay for what you have consumed. So that's the consumption model, what we call as Everflex, right? So we build the entire private cloud for you, but what can you run? You can run your traditional workloads or consume the same infrastructure for running modern workloads. When I say modern workloads, is basically the adoption of containers. You can run your AI ML workload, name whatever application you want to have, you can run it on these. You consuming your converged or a hyper converged infrastructure, which is basically a private cloud for you. This is all good. You are running your private cloud. But tomorrow, if you want to extend your data center to a public cloud, make it truly hybrid, can you do that? The answer is yes. This architecture helps you move towards hybrid cloud by having a consistent infrastructure and a consistent operation to overcome all the challenges what we spoke about earlier. We can have a similar setup created in the hyperscalers like AWS, or for that matter Google Cloud or IBM Cloud. So the entire setup can be replicated in a public cloud. Now what is the advantage of doing this? Anybody? Is there a use of doing this? Can I get some answers from the back? Is there a use of such an architecture? Yes, there is. Now today you are running your applications on-premise, and tomorrow if you want to move that application to a public cloud for various reasons, it could be a management decision, or it could be certain services which is available in the public cloud which is not on-premise, not available on-premise. You want to run it, consume that public cloud services, you want to move your data to public cloud. That's where this kind of architecture would help you in seamlessly moving your workload or environment which is running on-premise today to public cloud. Consume those services from the public cloud. Once you are done, you take a call whether you want to be there or come back on-premise. So this architecture makes it very, very seamless for you in terms of moving your applications right from on-premise to public cloud and from public cloud to on-premise as and when required. Is that good? Is that a yes or a no? Yes. Oh, thanks. Okay. I spoke about UCP Advisor. UCP Advisor is basically an infrastructure lifecycle management tool. Is that a big term, infrastructure lifecycle management? Right? Big term? Okay. What does it do? It does lifecycle management. When I say lifecycle management, what does it mean? Somebody, sorry? True, but not in those in the real sense, but I was trying to understand in terms of managing the infrastructure life cycle. So that somebody was talking about code upgrades. I think one of the panelists were talking about code upgrades regularly, and there are certain aspects of taking configuration backups, restoring as and when required. All those aspects with respect to life cycle management can be done by this software called UCP Advisor. Now UCP Advisor is one single platform which can serve all the three pillars what we have seen: UCP, HC, CI and RS. Basically UCP Advisor sits as a plugin inside vCenter. Okay? We have designed it in such a way that this software sits inside the vCenter as a plugin. That means what is the advantage of doing such thing? The advantage is the VMware administrator need not depend on the infrastructure guy to do certain things for him, or rather do certain things in terms of provisioning storage as and when required. So the VMware administrator has the capability in managing the entire infrastructure, be it compute, be it networking, or be it storage for that matter, right? Okay, one of the important things what we hear is in terms of application modernization. All would have heard about containers. So this is a theory which says when you want to modernize your applications, there are there's a 5R strategy, right? Basically, retire, retain, rehost, migrate, replatform, or refactor your applications to make it modernize. All these aspects what we are speaking about is basically with the adoption of containers being more and more in terms of having, or rather changing your monolithic architecture to a more microservices based architecture from an application modernization. So we have the solution with respect to application modernization using containers. So what we have is an option where customers can choose between a VMware solution for modernization or an OpenShift, which is from Red Hat. VMware Tanzu is from VMware, or OpenShift is from Red Hat. So you have a flexibility to choose any of this architecture in terms of adopting containers, and we have the reference architecture built in to support and implement or set up that infrastructure for you. Now in containers, in container world there are two types of containers. One is stateful container, the other one is stateless. When I say stateful container, you would need an underlying storage to store the data, and in a container world we call it as a CSI plugin. The one which is marked in red in the middle are CSI plugins which we have created, which Hitachi has created, HSPC and HRPC. So these are storage plugins which are used for providing consistent storage for your container environment. One. Second one is basically, at the same time we have onboarded our partnership with Google Anthos and Microsoft Azure as well to provide an on-premise presence for their public cloud offerings. It could be offerings from a virtualization standpoint, or it could be offerings from a container standpoint. So these solutions do support that. If you are onboarding any of your solutions from a Google or Azure standpoint, look forward for us in terms of supporting you in your journey. Okay. Now this is the last slide we've got in terms of solutions. Now we spoke about storage solutions, which is block file. We spoke about compute solutions, which is UCP CI, HC. Now one of the panelists were talking about unstructured data, right? This is a solution which is basically solving your unstructured data challenges. We call it as HCP. HCP is Hitachi Content Platform, or otherwise called as object storage offering from Hitachi. Now there are multiple features which the HCP has. One of the most important aspect of HCP is basically protecting your data which is stored on this. How are we protecting that? We have something called as a hashing algorithm, where a data is written onto it. You would have, the system will create a hash mark for it, and it keeps comparing the hash mark and then say, okay, your data is intact or has it been corrected. We have something called data protection level. You have multiple copies of the same data also created in the same system in terms of resiliency, and at the same time it can check these hash values and then correct it, auto correct, or rather self heal if there is a corruption occurring in the system. That's the self healing is one. The other one is warm function. So you can have tenants, we can have or the entire HCP can be divided into multiple tenants or multi-tenancy, where you can have policies written in terms of data retention. Whatever data you have stored on HCP, you can probably have retention policies for ages in terms of number of years what you can keep it, and warm function, which is basically write once, read many. So once that is enabled, your data what is there is always protected, right? Other features are compression, single instancing. We heard about dedupe, right? So we call it as single instancing, where you have one single copy of the data which is kept across multiple usage. Cloud tiering. So HCP, as I said, it's an on-premise solution, but if you want to have consume certain services in the cloud, you can expose the data over an S3 protocol to any of the public cloud and consume the services there using the HCP as well, which is called as cloud tiering. Or you can also do archival. So if you want to have move the entire data to public cloud and keep it, you can tier it to public cloud as well, right. Now HCP is one solution. Now the supporting solutions what we have is HCP edge or other edge solutions. Now you would have individual solutions to protect your end user computing, which is your laptop or desktop solutions to protect your data. We have an extension of HCP which we call it as HCP Anywhere Edge, wherein you can protect your end user laptop or data which is there with the end users in terms of protecting that onto the central repository called HCP. Or we also have file sync and share solutions which are available as part of the content solutions, where you can sync your data from your laptop, from a mobile onto a central location and make sure that your data is always protected. Also is analytics, which we call it as content intelligence. Content intelligence is basically basically a study of the entire unstructured data in your organization and understand what is being used or what kind of data is stale or how is it being used, doing an analysis of the data what you've got. So content intelligence is a software function which helps you analyze your unstructured data in your environment, right. The last on the right is basically the high performance file system. So if there is a need, somebody, I mean we had I think somebody speaking from a media industry. So media industry is one where you would need storage with high performance. When I say high performance, from a throughput standpoint. So any use case which talks about high performance in terms of throughput, we have the content software for file is as an object solution, or rather the content solution to address such needs as well. So all of them come under the unstructured data solutions for unstructured data in terms of various use cases. Now these use cases are traditional. It could be archival data compliance, it could be file services modernization, or it could be say metadata ingestion. So everybody understands metadata, right. So if at all you want to have some meaningful information stored along with the data when you are storing in your organization, you have something called metadata. So you can have custom metadata ingested along with the file when it is stored. So all those functions can be achieved by these object solutions what we have. Ransomware protection in terms of snapshot or making it warm. One more thing is Hadoop optimization. How many of you have adopted Hadoop in your data centers, or rather big data Hadoop? Anybody? No worries. People who have already adopted Hadoop, they know the challenge of having a huge amount of data, but these data is basically processed data and raw data. Now once it is processed and it is used, it is stale. So you can offload those data onto a HCP platform as basically an archival target for you. One of the other one is using the HCP platform as a backup target. So various use cases of HCP platform. Yes, please.
For the analytics, so let's say it requires GPU, then how will you do that?
Okay, this is a piece of a software which runs an analysis on your existing data. It is just going through the entire file structure, understanding what is there available, what is the kind of accessibility. Say for example, you have something called, which is very crucial, say confidential data. I am just saying, giving some examples, a credit card number for easy understanding. So you can define the content intelligence software saying that you go analyze my data center and pick up those files or data which has got this credit card information. So you define a rule, it goes searches and gives you an output in terms of these are the files which is having critical information stored at these locations. Now you as an administration can take, do you want to leave it there or you want to move it to a protected environment. So that's the kind of outcome this content intelligence does. Now GPU is basically what you're going to do, or rather the mathematics behind doing some analytics, right. So those are servers available with GPU cards available in that, and you can run those algorithms on the GPU cards as well.
Use case, for example, fraud detection.
For? Fraud detection, yes.
I did some POC was earlier, many years back, that in storage.
Okay.
And it requires GPU.
True.
So, but that is so how do you do?
So you would need to build a compute environment with GPU cards in that, run your algorithms, which is the fraud detection algorithms in that, but supply with the storage with the data to that computing environment. It could be either to a file services like a file share or a block storage where you have the data allocated to it.
So it will offload the file to the.
It will offload the computing algorithm to the GPUs. You have two things, CPU and GPU. So heavy what do you call mathematical instructions, which is basically the AI ML kind of a thing, which is offloaded to the GPU cards, the GPUs, and it does the calculation for you against the set of data what you have provided.
And the GPU is integrated to your storage?
No, GPUs are never integrated to storage. It is always a part of a compute platform. So on the server. So on the server you have GPU cards. Of course, that server would have a storage layer, not the storage as such. The server will have internal storage capacity, and then you can consume the data as per your algorithms what you've written. Thanks for the question. So in a nutshell, we help customers to build their cloud ecosystem, build their initiative in terms of having virtualized environment, having modern applications, build their modernize their applications. At the same time, provide solutions which is used for data protection, and at the same time giving a flexibility of consumption model which is Everflex, pay-per-use model, and at the same time we can manage your entire infrastructure as managed services. We also offer managed services to you if you want to consume managed services where you can offload the entire management part to Hitachi in managing the entire IT landscape as well. So that's a summary of what we do, and that brings to the last slide. So any questions in any of the topic we have spoken? I know it is pretty high level, I could not go in detail, but if you have any questions around any of the topics, I am here to help you or clarify that. Any questions for now? No? So only two are the possibilities. You understood everything what I said, or you did not understand anything? Oh, great, thanks for the questions also. So my name is Sujith Vijayan. You can catch me on LinkedIn. Sorry, I didn't put my LinkedIn handle there. Sujith Vijayan from Hitachi. So you can always talk to me or any of my colleagues over here on any of the topics what we have. And thank you so much for being a good audience, not asking any questions.
All right, can we please give him a big round of applause to Mr. Vijayan. Thank you for that in-depth session.